Whew, man, oh man, it didn't take long. Hugh Freeze, he's already stirring up some controversies, and some people already think he's breaking the rules. Okay, let me lock in and get serious. This tweet right here, though, it says it all summed up pretty much. Now, yes, this is a very out of context tweet, but trust me, I'm going to explain everything in tonight's late night video. I'm sure some of you, more than likely, you already know what's going on, but also believe there's a large majority that have no idea. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, Hugh Freeze, he's done a couple of things within the past week that have definitely opened my eyes. The first time he did it, I was like, is it a big deal? Yeah, but it's not worth talking about. But then, well, what do you know? He did it again. And that is the context to this tweet right here that states Auburn is cheating again. Which obviously, if you can't figure out, it's a joke. But at the same time, this tweet right here goes to show you how crazy it is what Hugh Freeze has done. We're going to talk all about that in tonight's video. That is going to be the main topic. Another topic we're going to speak on, I meant to speak on in the previous one, but just didn't get to it, is not Tua Tagovailoa, but Taulia Tagovailoa. Yes, Taulia, the younger brother of Tua, he's the current quarterback at Maryland. Why are we going to talk about him? Why am I bringing him up? Because allegedly and reportedly, an SEC school offered him $1.5 million. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Literally, the million-dollar question. Who was this team and why? Is Taulia even good enough for the SEC? We're going to talk about that. I'm also going to pull up his numbers and let you guys be the judge in the comment section. We don't got a lot to get into. It's still the off-season, not too much going on. But what we are going to get into, it's really interesting. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope this video can make it slightly better. If not, all right, Matt, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, like I said, my apologies. I meant to talk about this yesterday, but we just didn't get to it in the video. It's going to be short and sweet. Taulia Tagovailoa, he was offered $1.5 million to transfer to a quote-unquote unnamed SEC program. Some of y'all may not find this interesting, but I find it really interesting for multiple different factors. Factor number one is, and this came to my mind, and I mean this in the most respectful way, I love Tua, I love his brother, I love his family, everything they've done for the University of Alabama. But is Taulia even good enough for the SEC? I don't know. That's question number one. And question number two is, would an SEC team even want him? I really don't think so. That's my honest opinion, but let's pull up his stats and numbers. You know what they say? Men lie, women lie, but numbers, they never lie. And I already know as I'm pulling up these stats, I'm just going to say it now. Some nerd in the comment section go, well, Matt, he played at Maryland. He doesn't have the wide receivers that Alabama has. Just shut up, you nerd. I'll talk about his last 2 years in 2021 and 2022. 2021, he had nearly 4,000 passing yards. That's great. 26 touchdowns to 11 INTs. You would like to see him clean up the INTs, but it's not too shabby. And in 2022, what really I thought was supposed to be his breakout year, and I was high on him, it wasn't too great. 3,000 passing yards to 18 touchdowns and only 8 INTs. Now, the thing with Taulia is he's not as accurate as his brother Tua, not even close. Is he a good quarterback? I'd say he's pretty good, but he's not Tua. Everybody knows that. If he was Tua or even close to him, he would have stayed at Alabama, but there's a reason he transferred. He was never going to play at Alabama. The one bad part about Taulia's game, and I hate it because I've been rooting for him, I've always wanted to be high on him, but it's just a terrible part of his game, is he throws a lot of INTs. He's a turnover machine. Well, maybe calling him a turnover machine is a stretch, but he throws a lot more INTs and has a lot more dangerous passes than what I like to see out of my starting quarterback. And some of you may say, well, Matt, it's not that bad. 26 touchdowns, 11 INTs, 18 touchdowns, 8 INTs. But at the end of the day, that's only about a 2-to-1 ratio. That's not what you like to see. You'd like to see that number around 25 touchdowns to 5 INTs, around 20 touchdowns to 4 or 5 INTs. With that being said, though, and it's very hard for me to evaluate him because he's had some games and even had a couple last year, I'm like, man, this guy might be a top 10 quarterback in the country. He was unreal, but it's not consistent. And at the quarterback position, you got to have consistency. So going back to the couple of questions I had, is he even good enough for the SEC? And would an SEC team even want him? And if so, which team? Well, number one, and let me go back on this because I said no originally. Yes, I think he could be a starter for a low SEC team. I'm talking about a team like Vanderbilt, Missouri, Florida at this current moment in time, and maybe, I don't want to say Mississippi State's a bad team, but probably a team like Mississippi State. Maybe Arkansas if they didn't have KJ Jefferson, teams like that. But as far as it goes for a team like Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss, teams like that, no. I just don't think he's a high-level quarterback. I think he's a pretty good quarterback, but not a high-level quarterback. And if you're playing for those teams, got to be high-level. Let's go back to this question, though. Which team or teams in the SEC would have even offered him this money? Off the top of my head, it couldn't have been too many because those 5 teams I just listed, your top dogs, they're not going to offer him. They don't need him. To go along with that, Auburn, they weren't going to offer him money. They already got their guy, Peyton Thorne. Texas A&M, they already got their guy, Connor Wingman. Missouri's got Brady Cook coming back. Vanderbilt's quarterback was decent last year. Most of these SEC schools already have their quarterback. My point is, and let's make a long story short here because I've already talked about this long enough, I don't know which team would have offered him $1.5 million. I'm not saying this report is wrong because maybe a team did, but I just have a hard time trying to figure out who would have. Because he's not good enough to be a starting quarterback for one of the top 7 teams in the SEC. But, and I have a big but, he is good enough to be a starter for the lower 7 teams in the SEC. The only team that I could even think of that really has a terrible quarterback room is Florida, but even their head coach, Billy Napier, he's came out and stated, oh yeah, Graham Mertz, he's the future, he's our guy. So if he feels that way about Graham Mertz, I don't think he would have offered Talia $1.5 million. I'll leave it at this. Let me know in the comment section who you think gave him this money, or my bad, offered him this money. Of course, he didn't take it. And I also found that a tad bit fishy because why wouldn't you take the $1.5 million to go play in the SEC and get more recognition? So hopefully in the future you can go to the NFL. Because unless he completely balls out at Maryland next year, he's not going to be drafted in the top 4 rounds. He's a short quarterback that's not that accurate and has turnover problems. Not a high draft pick. Let me know in the comment section who you think offered him this money. But now finally, moving along to the main topic, the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video. What's going on in Jordan-Hare Stadium? Or shall I say outside the stadium involving Hugh Freeze. Whew, man oh man, it didn't take long. Hugh Freeze, he's already stirring up some controversies and some people already think he's breaking the rules. Me personally, do I think Hugh Freeze is breaking the rules? Well, I'll give you my opinion in just a second. First things first, let me give you the news. If some of y'all didn't hear the news, what was it? Yeah, it was about 4 days ago. Auburn flipped 5-star linebacker DeMarcus Riddick from Georgia to Auburn. This was a big time deal, but that's all there is to it. They flipped him. Unreal. It's amazing. And also, I need to throw this in there, a little fun fact for you. This is the first 5-star recruit that Auburn has landed since 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know what I like to call that? The Hugh Freeze effect. And before we go any farther, let me state this. If I'm an Auburn fan, and I said this months ago, but I'm going to say it again, I am overly ecstatic and excited about this season and about the Hugh Freeze hire. Is he shady? Yeah. Does he have some bad morals? Yeah. But who cares? The dude can coach. The dude can win. People don't understand this. He's not being paid to be the head coach of Auburn to have integrity and morals. He's being paid to win football games. That's it. Am I a fan of that? No, because I'm a man of honor and integrity, but it's the reality. It doesn't matter what he does in his free time. If he goes out there and goes 15-0 next year, ain't nobody going to say a dang thing. And that is straight up facts. But anyways, getting back on track here. So he flipped a 5-star recruit, and I almost made a video, but I was like, not a big deal. Well then, guess what? Yesterday, he flipped another 5-star recruit. Granted, some people got him labeled as a 4-star, some got him as a 5, from Alabama. When I heard this news, I actually got an ESPN update on it. I was like, wait. What? Hugh Freeze beat us out for a 4-star/5-star wide receiver? Not only beat us out, but he flipped him, Perry Thompson. If you don't know the name, get used to it because the kid can play. That's eye-opening, and it's pretty impressive if you got to ask me. And you got to take this into account. He didn't just land 2 5-star recruits within 4 to 5 days. He flipped them. To flip a kid, you got to convince a kid not to go to a school, and then at the same time, you got to convince him as to why he should go to your school. You basically won him over not twice, or you won him over twice, but he did with 2 players to equal 4 times. It goes without being said, Hugh Freeze is doing a heck of a job in Auburn, Alabama, and he hasn't even played a game yet. I'm excited for Auburn's. Do we have any Auburn fans in the comment section? Let me know how y'all are feeling about this. And oh yeah, by the way, before we end off this video, let me show y'all this. It's on one of those message boards. Alabama fan, listen to what he had to say about Hugh Freeze and this recruit decommitting from Alabama. My problem with this is, where are the parents? Are they so freaking greedy, selling their kids to the highest bidder they don't have any integrity or teach their kids to have any? My kid wouldn't be flipping or changing a dang thing. My kid would be honoring his freaking word or getting his ever-loving blank kicked by me. A person is only worth their word. If you can't be trusted or believed in, you are useless and won't amount to anything. The dude can enjoy playing the Birmingham Bowl all he wants. Don't bother me. I don't give a dang if he changes his mind. I prefer him to stay at the barn and enjoy the freaking blank whooping he's about to get from Bama the next 3 seasons. Oh man, you can't make that up. There's just some very sad individuals and sad fans out here. As a matter of fact, whoever wrote this comment, I'll give you some words of advice. It's going to be corny and cliche, but just hear me out. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. But since you did open your mouth, I'm going to open my mouth. And this is all I'm going to say. I'm going to keep it short and simple. Shut up. Shut the crap up. If you can't be happy for a young man, whether he goes to your school or if he doesn't go to your school, I don't know what to tell you. Besides what I've already said, I don't want to sound like a broken record player here, but you're a sad individual. To Perry Thompson, the kid who was once committed to Alabama who's now going to Auburn, I'm wishing you the best of luck. I'm rooting for you. And while I'm at it, I also want to address this. All these people saying, oh yeah, Hugh Freeze, Auburn, they're paying these players, they're cheating again, blah, 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 blah. Some people are joking, but just like that comment said where that guy wrote that long message, a lot of people think that Auburn, they're buying these players out. They're offering them a lot of money. And guess what? To all these people saying, oh, well, Hugh Freeze is probably paying these players, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you know that's legal, right? You can now pay college football players to come to your school. Don't hate the player, hate the game. It's simple. Heck, Brian Harsin had the ability to pay players, and he's still going to get a 5-star recruit. Even if you are going to pay a guy, you somehow got to convince him that you're a great coach and your football team is on the rise, and Hugh Freeze, he's done that. Give credit when it's due. That's what I'm doing. Let me know your thoughts down below. But